OpenAI just dropped a brand new version of their Agentic AI development platform, Codex. And I've been using it for the past couple of days, and I'm kind of mind blown. So I will almost go as far as saying as this is Agentic Development 2.0. And the reason why I'm saying this is because with Codex, you can queue tasks in parallel. So in Codex, you can set up different environments. You can connect directly to your existing GitHub repositories. And then for each of your projects, you can just queue up tasks that you want Codex to work on. And then you can go do whatever you want to do, take a walk, get some coffee, whatever. And Codex will autonomously work on those tasks in parallel in the background. And it will even, because it's directly available through the ChatGPT interface now, it's not terminal-based as before. It essentially also it gives you like you queue tasks on your computer, and then it'll automatically start a progress bar on your phone showing the progress of all the work being done. And essentially, what I love about this is that it has no risk. Imagine you have an existing backlog of features and issues you want to work on. You can just start your morning by rewriting each of these issues and features into prompts and just give it to Codex. And every time Codex finishes a task, you can choose to do a pull request on that on GitHub. And if anything went wrong, if it didn't understand you correctly, or if there is a bug in the feature, like, you don't need to use it. You can try again, or you can solve that problem with some other tool or manually or whatever. But I mean, there's no risk in just giving it all the tasks and just see what can it actually accomplish. And I think that's so powerful. And yeah, and I really love this approach because it's really truly feels agentic. Besides that, they also now use a new model, or it's actually not a new model, but it's a new, I guess, name series of models. This one called Codex 1. It's based on O3, so basically, I think still the most advanced reasoning model from OpenAI. And it's just been fine-tuned with programming in mind. I think even fine-tuned based on senior level programming best practices. So the model in itself is very powerful. And then we have this interface on top that allows sort of parallel development. And I think that's what makes this tool very groundbreaking compared with some of the other tools. But I actually also think it's a good complementary, like it's a good add-on to whatever workflow you already have. I've been using Replit for a while as my favorite agentic development tool. And I actually in the beginning, I thought, okay, I'm just going to use Codex now. But actually, it makes a lot of sense to combine the tools because Replit integrates directly with GitHub as well. All my projects in Replit are connected to repositories in GitHub, and essentially I can connect the same repositories to Codex and just have Codex work on some tasks that are then pushed to GitHub and then retrieved by Replit as well. So everything that Codex then works on automatically is to be found within the Replit project as well. And Replit has some other amazing capabilities, like it has the very advanced interface, and you can preview your projects within Replit, and you can even host your projects through Replit and so on. So I think it makes a lot of sense to actually have. It's kind of fascinating having multiple AIs work together on the same project. And if you run into issues with Replit, maybe it doesn't understand what you want to achieve, it hallucinates or whatever, then you can just tell Codex, like, hey, Codex, you know what? Replit doesn't really understand what I want to do. Can you give it a try? Just show Replit how it should be done, and then Codex will just push that feature to Git that Replit will then retrieve. So, and maybe Replit will even learn from Codex's approach and be able to work with that feature as well in the future. So I think this is just quite amazing, and also because the world is not stagnant. I'm sure Replit will use new models soon as well, and also improve on its own. I know Claude is launching a new I think Claude just launched a new very powerful model today actually, and Replit uses a lot of the Claude models, like Sonnet is what's currently being used. So so since the world is not stagnant, I think we'll always run into this, like, okay, what's the best tool this week? And when we all sort of connect through GitHub in terms of code, at least, like, I just think it's very powerful now that these AIs can work together and achieve the best result. So yeah, it's really, really amazing. And one drawback though is that I don't actually think that I think it may have been with security in mind. Like whenever Codex is working on a task, it doesn't actually have internet connection, so it cannot install new libraries, for instance, while it's working on a task. So whatever context it has for a project when it begins is whatever it will be stuck with. So you need to install relevant libraries and so on beforehand, which is a bit annoying because you can't just tell the Codex that it should be creative, go find whatever library it should use and so on. But I definitely hope that it's the idea that at some point, at least, it should be an option for Codex to connect to the internet, so it can basically install things as well, and maybe even download some assets from like stock photos or whatever. Like, I just think that's a pretty crucial feature, and I imagine that's also the idea, but I guess for now, maybe for safety reasons, it's sandboxed in its own environment. Anyway, so this is what the interface looks like. It's very simple. Like, you can definitely tell it's from OpenAI. It's neat and simple and only has like what's needed. And I absolutely love that the main tagline is, "What are we coding next?" So it's just there ready for you to begin coding. The way you set it up is basically that you have to set up in an environment for each project you want Codex to work on. You do that by pressing environments, and in there, if you haven't already set up a connection to GitHub, you'll be prompted to do that. So after connecting to your GitHub account, you can then create a new environment, and in here you can of course connect multiple GitHub organizations. So you just connect the one you want to connect to for that specific project. And then I have already created a test project on GitHub for this demo, and it's essentially just a very simple app that can start a timer so you can focus on a specific task in a specific period of time. I'll show you the current state of that afterwards. So you can create that environment simply by selecting that project from the list of repositories, and optionally you can add a description and so on. You can share it with your organization, and down here you can add various things like which pre-install packages to include, which environment variables you have, if any secrets for the project, and setup script, and you even have access to a terminal. But for now, we'll just keep the basic setup and just simply press create environment. So now the environment has been created, and we can go back to the main screen of Codex. And let me just show you the app in its current state. So essentially, it's called Timebox Timer, and I got the idea for this app with the help of ChatGPT. I think it's sometimes a bit difficult to make up like demo example ideas. So I use ChatGPT for that. But if you have an idea for any future demo, please let me know in the comments below, and I will consider that for future videos. Okay, so it's a very simple app, very basic. Let's say the task name is record podcast, and I want to spend 45 minutes on that, and we start the timer, and yeah, we basically just have a countdown, so we are supposed to stay focused on that current task for 45 minutes. So that's the current state. And I then also had ChatGPT give me some inspiration for some tasks that I can then start delegating to Codex to improve this app. And let's take a look at those. Okay, so the first task, add pause and reset controls. So as you saw right now, you cannot do anything when the timer is running. So let's simply just copy this prompt for adding pause and reset controls to Codex. So we say, have to remember to select the right project to work on, which branch. If you work on an actual project, I would of course recommend that you create like a development branch so you don't push anything to the main branch. But we paste in the task and simply press code. It's then added to the list of tasks. And as I mentioned in the intro, you can add as many tasks as you want, and then it will basically change the status to working on your task. You can always go into the task and see the current progress. So it has to, of course, set up the environment in the beginning. And then it just, simply begins working. And it says no agents file found. So actually that's a feature of Codex, that you can add an agents.md file in the root of the repository, where you can put different instructions for the agent, like how to behave within this project. I think I'll do a video on that later on to dive into like how to optimize that file, but it's not a problem to run the tasks without an agents file. It'll just use sort of default behavior instead. Okay, and and then after the initial setup, it'll begin coding. You can see like this is similar to like following a thought process of a reasoning model. We can always go back. Like, this does not have to be open or anything. We can close this and it will just keep working. And you can always see the status. And as I said, you can even follow the status on your phone as well in real time. So imagine you add like 10 different tasks and you just go about your day, and you get like notified on your phone when it's done, and you can test the implementation. Let's go back and see the status. And as a side note, actually, the way Codex works, of course, is like you cannot really, at least for now, set up a new project from Codex. It needs to work on an existing project. So you can, of course, just set up a project if you are already a developer, like normally in Visual Studio Code or something like that. But what I did was actually, just because I've been using Replit already, and so I just had Replit code this initial basic prototype and also connected to GitHub, like I mentioned in the intro. So whenever Codex is done working on this task, we can actually go to Replit and check out the results there. So we don't need to run it in our own local environment. We just have Replit pull everything from GitHub and then serve that in the staging environment that Replit enables. So yeah, so I kind of like that connection. I'm sure that at some point Codex will probably also get like an actual staging environment, and it will probably also be able to make apps from scratch. I mean, I guess it could technically do that now, as long as you just create like a basic React new project, like just a blank project. You could still have it start working on that blank project. So technically that's not an issue, but yeah, I just think Replit for now is at least better at creating the overall structure for an app, and then Codex can really go in and dive deep into the code base and work on like very sort of specific features one at a time. All right, so it looks like it's done. Let's go and see. Yep, it's done. So in the left-hand side, you can see a summary of what it's done, the prompt at first, and then notes if there were any like errors, like anything to take note of during the development phase, and the summary. So in this case, it has introduced new pause and reset capabilities in the timer hook to allow stopping and clearing the countdown. It has also updated the timebox timer component to include pause and reset buttons that call these new functions. Okay, so what we can do now is to basically create a new pull request. So it's done creating the pull request, and we can press view pull request, and we'll just basically be redirected directly to our account, like your own account on GitHub. So okay, so it's created, it's written a summary, and we can just merge the pull request. There's no conflict with the base branch, so we can press merge, and we confirm the merge. All right, so yes, now it's been merged with the main branch, and in our case, we go to Replit, but it could also, as mentioned, just be whatever coding environment you normally use, like Visual Studio Code or Cursor even, or anything. So in the Git here, we press refresh and fetch. And we can see we get the merge pull request here. All right, and let's press pull. Okay, so that should be it on the Git side, and then let's try to run the project again. And let's try to open it in just a new browser window. Okay, at least we have two buttons now. Let's see if it works. We enter the task name again, record podcast. And 45 minutes, we press start timer. Okay, and let's pause it. Okay. I guess it stopped it, but let's see. Yeah, okay. So it actually stopped the time. I didn't pause it. What happens if we press reset? Okay. But okay, but I guess that's just a new issue. We we delegate to Codex. So let's go back to Codex, and then we say we can write something like current behavior of pause button is to. Okay, let's just try something like this and press code, and we add it to the list of tasks. And in the meantime, we can just try to let it work on some other tasks as well. So let's go back to ChatGPT, store time boxes in local storage, animate the timer countdown circle, and add dark mode support. So we just copy each of them. Code and code and code. So I think this is really the power of Codex, that yeah, you can add as many as you want, really. Yes, I really love that. So and also because none of it will actually matter until we merge it in the pull request. So we don't have to worry about anything like being messed up or anything. It just autonomously works on each, and then we'll merge as we want to test continuously. So I just came back. I just went to make some tea, and I can see that it's basically done with 3 out of 4 tasks of the new ones we added. So it's done with the fixed pause button behavior. So let's take a look at that and see if it's actually working now. We go into it and we create a new pull request for this. So it's done creating the pull request. We press view, and we merge. There are no conflicts, so we can merge. Okay. And yes, it is done merging. We close it, we go back to, in our case, Replit, and let's open Git. And let's refresh. And we pull. Okay. And let's try to restart the app. Okay. So record podcast, 45 minutes. We start the timer. And let's try to pause it now. All right. That is progress. It freezes, and let's see if we can also resume. Yes, that works. And while it's running, we're not able to start a new one, so that's also good. And all these are disabled. We press reset. Yes, it works. Obviously, this is a rather simple task, so I'm sure Replit could have achieved something similar. But later on, I'll do some more videos with more complex use cases with bigger projects. But I just want to just show like the basic sort of logic behind Codex first. So okay, so let's go back and see the status of the remaining task. So let's see. Still working on dark mode. Save and display last 5 time boxes. Let's go and take a look. Summary: it has added local state to the store history of completed time boxes persisted in local storage. It's recorded completed time boxes when a timer finishes and updated history state and storage. And it has stored the current duration when starting a timer and reset it when the timer resets. Displayed recent time boxes below the timer for quick reference. Okay, so let's create a pull request on this one. And let's view the pull request. See, no conflicts with the, because I guess at this point there could theoretically be some conflicts because it's working on multiple tasks. So of course that's a risk, but in this case no conflict. So we merge. And let's go back to Replit and refresh. And pull. Okay, and then we restart again. Okay, so let's try to start it again. And I guess it should save it then if we reset. Well, it did not do that. Pause. Okay, maybe let's try something. Maybe it actually has to finish that I guess maybe that's what it's what it did. So basically, let's just put it at 1 minute, and then I'll speed up the video a bit so you don't have to wait for 1 minute. But let's see. Okay, so it says timer complete. There is a bug though, it doesn't say what the name of the task was, but I don't think that's Codex, the folder Codex. I think that's from the original implementation from Replit. But it adds recent time boxes. It does say like 0 minutes. It puts a timestamp, which is correct. I'm doing this very late at night. I guess we just put that in as a bug. So we just put let's see. Let's just try something like this. And in the meantime, let's test some of the other tasks. Is still working on the dark mode. I guess that's a bit more complicated. So this one, add circular progress bar animation. Let's go in and take a look. So it's created a reusable SVG-based countdown component, extended the timer hook to track total duration, integrated the circular countdown around the timer display in the UI. Okay, so yeah, let's make a pull request. And for all of these tasks, you can always see the diff directly. So you can always see what it has added and what it has removed. Now we can merge and we confirm. And let's go back to Replit and we refresh and let's see. Let's pull. Let's restart the app, run it, preview. All right, so we try again. 30 minutes. And that is definitely a circle. I don't know if it actually shows progress. Maybe it's too long. So if we reset and put 1 minute start timer. Oh yeah, there is actually an animation going on. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's see what happens when it's done. I guess we did not do the fix we didn't merge the fix for this one yet. So I don't expect it to be any different, but let's see. No, still the same. So let me just quickly create a pull request on the fix for that. And then I will share the result. All right, it seems to be working. It tracks the name, record podcast, and 1 minute duration. The timestamp is correct. Cool. Okay, let's go back and take a look at the last task. I think it was the enable dark mode. So again, create a pull request. Okay, and we have a new icon appearing in the top right corner. Let's press it. And that is pretty much spot on. And everything still works. Just make a new task, 10 minutes. Start timer. That is pretty flawless. Again, many of these tasks are rather simple, so I'm sure Replit would have been able to do it as well. But for more complicated use cases and for bigger code bases, especially if you have a very large code base, and I think at this point at least, Codex 1 is a more capable model, and I also really like the segregation of tasks that each task can be implemented independently from other tasks that are currently being worked on. So that's the real power. But then I also just think this synergy between Replit now and Codex is really cool. You could do the same probably between Codex and Cursor, or maybe even Codex and Lovable, since Lovable also, I think, is Git connected. I think OpenAI bought Windsurf, so they probably want to continue working on the UI part and probably make something where you can also run your app in a staging environment and so on. So I'm just excited to see the development. I think, as mentioned, it's still an issue that Codex doesn't connect to the internet, but I think for now when you have a connection like this, like with Replit, it's not really an issue, because if you need to install something, a library, or update your repository with basic things, you can always just ask the Replit either agent, but actually also just like you can just open a Replit assistant and do these sort of basic things with the Replit assistant, which is very cheap to use as well. I hope you are as excited as I am about this new release of Codex. It opens up a whole new world of opportunities in terms of development, in my opinion. And it's in a week that's just absolutely crazy when it comes to AI. Google just dropped a new hyper-realistic video model I'm just completely in shock of how realistic the videos actually look from that model. And Claude has launched some new state-of-the-art models today as well, very optimized for coding. So I'm definitely gonna play with that over the weekend. And yeah, it's insane how fast the development is right now. Anyway, if you have any specific topic you'd like us to cover on this channel, please leave a comment below. And also, please remember to subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot. And also, if you give the video a like, that's really appreciated. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.